r/AskReddit by Reddit. What is your fake it till you make it story? I George Costanza my way into a job in high school. I was looking for a new job and went to apply at a local movie theater. The general manager asked to interview me on the spot, which I wasn't at all prepared for, but went with it anyway. This was like a Wednesday or Thursday night. The interview went well, and she told me she was going to be out of town this weekend, but she would let me know on Monday. I didn't want to wait, so the next day at school I got my work permit filled out and took it back. I dropped it off to another manager and told them she told me to bring this crap in. They asked if I could start the next day. I ended up working there for over 3 years. Not me, but my cousin applied for a brand new restaurant job and didn't get it. Her friend got the job and she was annoyed she didn't get hired. So her friend told her where/when orientation was, and she decided to fake getting hired till she made it. She went to orientation, all the training, introduced herself to all the staff, management, and made her presence known. After a couple of weeks working, everyone got their paychecks, except her. She went up to management and was like, what the hell? Everyone got paid but me. You've seen me working for the last 2 weeks. Management goes into the computer system and checks. That's so weird, you're not in the system. I'm so sorry, must be a clerical error. We will get you in the system and paid right away. And that's how my cousin fake got hired till she made it. I wanna be like her when I grow up. Well, now I gotta find out if this works or not. I'm an artist who works in the film industry. Some years ago my wife got pregnant, purposefully, and I had to try to find a way to make more reliable income while she was on mat leave and for the foreseeable future, as we knew we weren't only having one. I also wanted to stay in film. I got work as a grip, grunt work lugging things around set and building/setting up large bits of lighting gear. No clue what I was doing. I started off on big shows like The Flash and Arrow. A friend got me work on a small set, and only 13 days into working as a grip, which I didn't tell them, they made me the key grip. Key is film talk for manager. I was in charge of a whole department, which is one half of the lighting team. Faked it until I made it. Fast forward over 5 years. I have over 30 credits to my name as a key grip. I own an entire 5-ton truck's worth of gear that I rent out, which makes as much money per show as my wage did. My wife is back at work after having 2 kids, and I'm a stay-at-home dad with consistent passive income and the time to continue to write and audition whenever I need. I'd always been interested in programming. As a kid I tried to teach myself C and Java with mild success. Fast forward to the time I'm 24. I'm working as a piercing apprentice at a tattoo shop making $20 a day a few days per week. I meet a girl, fall for said girl. Girl ends up pregnant. A few hours after the pregnancy test I'm applying for jobs on Craigslist and I find a PHP job a few minutes up the road. I've worked with PHP for maybe a few hours in my entire lifetime, but it was a tiny company and the interview wasn't technical. I lied through my teeth the entire time and get hired. After being hired I tried to start learning PHP on the job. The owner of the company created his own PHP framework which was god awful, so I couldn't figure it out for the life of me. I got fired 2 weeks later. In those 2 weeks on the job I made an honest effort to learn more about web design and development, so I offered my design services to a local web design company for free so that I could learn. Walking home after being fired I called up the web design company and they ended up hiring me. I would learn on the job for a year or so and then take my skills to get more money somewhere else. 10 years later I'm the lead software engineer on a big project making just over 6 figures. If a pregnancy test hadn't scared me to death that day I would still be working dead-end jobs to scrape up enough money for weed and booze. My entire professional career, I played with computers growing up insofar as I knew how to turn one on, download a game, and play them very well. I knew next to nothing about building them or troubleshooting them, usually depending on my friends to help when my second-hand PC threw a fit. Cut to me, fresh out of college with a waste of paper degree looking for a job. I get hired by an IT contractor, cause I knew a gal that knew a guy, with the understanding I needed to know the basics. I didn't know anything. I made it up as I went along, googling the living crap out everything. That was 10 years ago. I'm now a systems administrator. My first job as a programmer, I didn't know how to write a single line of code, was about 12 years ago. I wanted to learn programming, and I chose a hot new programming language, Ruby. I did a tutorial for Ruby on Rails. Remember the one where you create an e-commerce store with a few lines, EHH. But I had some problems running it on Windows, so after I figured it out, I documented it on some forum. A guy messaged me that writing a guide shows initiative and they are looking for a Ruby guy. I never say no to anything. We Skyped, the guy liked me, and I got the job the next day. Remote. The salary shocked my 19-year-old self. The company was a mess at first. It was a new project. I was pretending to work for the first 3 weeks, while in reality I was learning for 12+ hours a day using books and tutorials. Somehow I ducking winged it and stayed with them for 3 years. I actually became proficient with Ruby, Python, and JS along the way. I started at a big ol' multinational in retail as a college dropout. I started at the lowest rung of customer service in a store. Now retail has lots and lots of staff turnover, and a multinational has a crap ton of rules, or you'd expect them to have. Also, I'm not the dumbest around. Never mind the college dropout, that's another story. And well, to be fair, not everyone in retail is super smart. So there was a consistent lack of management, or they didn't care, and all the rules and regulations had gaps in them. So people start asking questions. How do I solve this? What should I do next? Etc. Nobody had an answer to these questions, so I started answering them using common sense or what I'd think should work. Just filling the gaps, which probably made me look a lot smarter than I am. Just faking that I knew what I was doing. So I started climbing the ladders, and I'm now the senior finance and operations director for a store with a gross turnover of over 160 million euro. However, cracks are starting to show. The company got a lot more serious, and I'm surrounded by smart people with high degrees, where I can't bluff my way through problems and meetings as easily. So, I'm thinking of taking a step back and relaxing a bit more on lower position. I was a lot happier then, and had way less stress and way less hours. TLDR, faking works until it doesn't. I'm painfully shy and ducking terrified of speaking in front of people. A few years ago I started volunteering at my local animal shelter and would always sign up for a time slot before the shelter opened to the public, so I wouldn't have to deal with people. I kept getting assigned new volunteers to show them the ropes because my time slot was when it was quiet and there wouldn't be interruptions. I really extremely didn't want to deal with people, but I went ahead anyway because it meant I got my own kennel key. I was nervous as hell and didn't know what I was doing, but plowed ahead anyway. Then I got the hang of it. Now, 4 years later, I'm one of the leads. I have access to restricted areas of the shelter. I'm one of only 2 volunteers allowed to update the animals' notes on the shelter site, and I'm highly respected and considered a role model. I'm still terrified. Proud, but terrified. When I was younger, I used to randomly apply for jobs out of curiosity. Worked at a ton of places. Junkyard, machine shop, security at a pawn store, etc. Well, one job I applied for was an analytical position at a small insurance company. I have absolutely zero experience in any office setting, except a call center, and was not qualified for the job at all. My resume was 100% lies. I even made up the name of the college. Well, they hired me. The place was so disorganized that I essentially just kind of talked my way into it. The people interviewing me didn't even know what position it was for. They paid me $60,000 a year. 3 times what I had ever made. I was 19 and absolutely rolling in money. I even had a little office. I didn't really know what I was supposed to be doing, so I just kind of flew under the radar. My parents thought it was hilarious. I was literally making as much money as my dad, who was a metallurgical engineer. Unfortunately, it didn't last long. A larger company bought us out, mined the company, and fired everyone. I stole a couple laptops on my way out. One of the guys I worked with talked someone into giving him one of the company cars, a super nice BMW. A few years ago, my class had to write an essay about an important moment in our lives and read it in front of the whole class. When it was my friend's turn, he went up and did his speech like normal. The teacher asked him to turn it in and he said he didn't have it. Turns out that he never wrote one and just made it up on the spot. Thank you for watching Reddit. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more r/AskReddit videos. Share your stories in the comment section below.